G'day, I'm Will Anderson. Welcome to Gruen. We'll get to the panel in a moment. But first, why are so many ads asking me questions?
To peak or not to peak? That is the question.
If that is the question, Michael Hill Jewelers, then here is the answer. No one cares. Neutrogena has been busy asking.
Is it possible to remove makeup, dirt and oil in one wash?
Sure it is. Just get me a high-pressure hose. Google is question obsessed too.
What is that?
What can you do?
Can you take a selfie just by saying take a selfie?
So, it's a phone?
Google, if you need questions answered, Google them! Forget hard quiz, this is easy quiz. Let's see how many of these I can get.
Want my advice for dried cracked heels?
No. No thanks. Next.
Wish there was a cleanser that could do it all.
Yes, I wish there was a cleanser that could do it all. My taxes, my housework. It could even give me advice on my dry, cracked heels. Next.
Want to go to the pub?
Yes! Of course, always. Next.
Where do kids go for advice about drugs?
They come to me! I'm at the pub. But by far the worst offender is Chemist Warehouse's Beauty Break, which breaks you down by questioning your beauty.
Did you know there's a skincare product so powerful that it challenges a laser session?
It challenges a laser session? Are you selling me a beauty product or a lightsaber battle?
Want longer, luscious lashes?
Yes! I would love longer, luscious lashes.
Tired of your mascara drying out and giving you clumpy lashes?
Clumpy lashes? I thought my lashes were long and luscious.
Want naturally filled brows that last days?
Hang on, do your eyebrows not last? I've had these for ages.
Has frequent colouring and styling stripped your hair of its natural beauty?
How dare you? I woke up like this. Wait, there's more.
Does your face react to everyday irritants?
Yes. It's reacting to an everyday irritant right now. Time to welcome our panel from PwC, Russell Howcroft, and from Gruen, and one unaired season of The Bachelor, Todd Sampson. Joining them from BMF, Ali Tilling, and a new Gruen friend from 303 Mullen Low, Derry Simpson. Welcome. The great Australian dream is owning your own home. The great dream of brands is getting inside your home and owning you. Here's an American ad for Amazon's Home Assistant, a device expected to launch here pretty soon.
Alexa, alarm off. Alexa, what's on the calendar today?
You have 12 events scheduled.
Alexa, call me an Uber.
Your Uber will arrive in 2 minutes.
Alexa, what's the weather like today?
There's a 100% chance of showers.
Alexa, it's time to reorder some paper towels.
Okay, order placed.
And Alexa, play my garage music.
Playing your garage playlist from Prime Music.
Alexa, play some jazz.
Playing smooth jazz from Prime Music.
Alexa, ask Domino's to send me my last order.
Okay, order placed.
Alexa, lights off.
Okay.
Alexa, good night.
Good night. Sleep tight.
Alexa, are the robots going to kill us all? That ad terrifies me. Dairy, who is it meant to appeal to?
Look, they've sold more than 11 million of these around the world already. So there's obviously a whole lot of people that are really comfortable with the idea of having Alexa in their homes. And I do think they've done a pretty good job of trying to make us feel like Alexa would be someone that we'd want to have around. Like, imagine having a device that could just do what you want and make your life easier and turn your lights on and off and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of cool and fun and feels a little harmless. I mean, as a mum of 3 kids, I love the idea of having someone in my house that doesn't argue back when I ask them to do something, or, might be listening when I say, put your shoes on 10 times over.
You know what I love about that is, this is literally your first answer on this show and you've already given us as a busy mum.
Maybe there's a whole lot of mums out there that needs Alexa.
So in each of those scenes, they're all singles. So they're all living alone. And of course, there is an increase in the amount of people that are living alone. And you can see why having someone to talk to, I mean, genuinely having someone to talk to is actually very attractive. We know that people leave the TV on, so when they come home, there's some voices there, and then now they can talk to Alexa and they can have a conversation. So I think that's sort of like the initial target that they're after.
Yeah. When it comes to marketing technology, we tend to use the adoption curve, and this is particularly for the adoption curve. So it's a bell curve. So at one end, you got the innovators and the early adopters, then you got the early majority, and then the laggards. This is definitely aimed at the innovators and the early adopters. And they're the same people that bought internet fridges before it had any functionality. They're a really important group, right? Because they're, in some ways, the lab rats. So they will try out this version, they will test it for real at home, and then the next version that the rest of us will get will be a better iteration than the first one.
Turning on lights, playing music and checking the weather are all things we can already do. Alexa orders things for you too.
Alexa, ask Domino's to send me my last order.
Okay, order placed.
It's his last order because after that pizza, he's going to have a heart attack and die. Ali, is Amazon judging me on my pizza order?
Absolutely. So Alexa wants to know all the gory details, right? Because things like what pizza you order is absolutely how they get to more and more of your wallet. It is the gateway to your money. So Alexa is... You've got to remember, Alexa, every single word you say, every breath you take, she will be listening. Or at least she will be if you remember to say Alexa at the start of your sentence, which is obviously the challenge. But it's all grist to the Amazon mill. Like, she's interested when you order a pepperoni pizza. She's interested when that changes to a veggie pizza because you've started dating a health food nut. She's interested then when it changes back to pepperoni pizza with the garlic bread on the side because, your relationship's broken up, you're carb loading. That's all absolutely part of what they want to know because it helps them build a picture of you, a really kind of close personal picture. And that means they can tailor products to you. It means they can cross-sell different things. It means they can give you recommendations. She knows what you want before you know what you want. Yeah. And that's how they're getting to your money.
I think they're the best in the world at this, at using data, our data that they're collecting. And we often forget that the person who collects the data owns it, unless you purposely go to protect it. And they are absolutely brilliant at this because they use all that information, every word that you say, everything that you do, all your movements, as a kind of predictive analytics. And they can adjust price based on how your shopping habits are. More importantly, they can feed their recommendation engine. And I think that's probably Amazon's biggest strength is its suggestive search for you. So they will recommend product. In fact, we know their revenue is driven by about 30% just through recommendations because they know you so well, they recommend a product even before you're thinking about it. Like the pizza. If you're eating a lot of it, the next you'll get recommended will be some kind of diet product or antacid or something. But they know everything and they use it to predict what you're going to do next.
And the homes with Alexa have already experienced a 10% increase in Amazon sales. So it's already doing for them what they want it to do. So the whole key here is it's called the single view of customer. So if you're an Amazon, if you're any significant business, you're just trying to get that single view of the customer. So all the data goes in and you know exactly how that individual is going to behave, and then yes, of course, you'll be able to predict behaviour as well.
But they're also keeping it very light too, in the sense that, it feels fun and quite innocent and friendly. They're not getting into the depths of we will work out when you need laundry powder and order it for you. It's just, it feels quite innocent the way they're approaching it.
Yeah, it's like 1984 meets a smiling Susie homemaker. They've kind of given it that housewife edge.
Let's look at another moment from a longer version of that ad.
Alexa, Who stars in Mozart in the Jungle?
Stars include Malcolm McDowell, Jason Schwartzman.
Ha! Mozart in the Jungle is a show exclusive to Amazon. If I wanted to find the actor in the show, I'd Google it, but Alexa uses Bing. Oh well, at least someone uses Bing. Amazon is a walled garden, wed to its own infrastructure. Todd, will that keep some customers away?
If you think of Facebook knows who your friends are, Google knows what you're searching for, Amazon knows what you've bought. And from a marketing perspective, that is much more valuable. They are much further, particularly in America and soon to be here, they are much further down the track. So their goal is to own the entire ecosystem. Everything. The music that you listen to through Prime, the laundry detergent that you use, how you pay your bills, your refrigerator, they want to own that. To do that, though, they need to, and this is what they're focused on, they need to cut out the middlemen. And in this case, the middlemen are the Apple iPhone and the Google web browser. And so they're trying to get all of it to be theirs because they know they're linking it up with e-commerce, and while everyone else is further down the funnel, awareness, they are all the way in e-commerce and making so much money from it.
And Will, this is the game. The new game in town, of course, is voice activation. So it's all around first mover advantage. And so obviously all the tech companies know that this is what's happening. So it's Amazon that's actually moved the fastest. Amazon's already got 70% of voice in American homes. It means they've already won. They now have won. Everyone else is going to try and be number 2 or number 3. Amazon's number one forever.
As the war for your homes heats up, other brands are stepping in. Telstra has the smart home.
I'm often the first one out the door. Luckily, I can check the house from my app and make sure everything's been switched off and all the doors and windows are shut.
Also a great way to lock your family inside. Apple has the Home app. Samsung is launching a voice-activated speaker, and Microsoft is bringing us a home assistant called Invoke. Personally, I would have brought back Clippy. Google is getting in on the act too.
Okay, Google, turn on the hall lights.
Okay, Google, turn up the music.
Daddy!
Okay, Google, what's the weather?
Do babies dream?
What sound does a kookaburra make?
Okay, Google, dim the lights.
Surprise! More advertising questions I'll never know the answers to. Tell me, do babies dream or not? It doesn't seem to do much beside Google things and turn off lights, which is why it's called OK Google. It's just OK. Russell, those words, how much research would go into them?
Well, I think that the research effort would have been around whether they would call it something else. So Amazon's got Alexa. So they would have had this discussion, OK, are we going to create our own thing for the in-home device, or are we going to use Google as the thing? And of course, Amazon's arrived. Amazon's the behemoth, so they have to fight fire with fire. And the big fire, of course, is Google. But it seems natural now, but that would have been a very big strategic decision.
I mean, it's quite clever to get people just to repeat your brand name over and over again. It's like you could see why they thought we don't need to call it something different. We can just call it Google and still humanize it. Alexa was chosen for kind of reference to Star Trek, but it was chosen because it's not a word you say every day. You do not want a word you say every day because your thing will just keep going off the whole time. So Google is something you do say every day. So they had to put the OK Google, because that's not a normal thing to say, and that's what actually triggers the voice recognition.
And it also makes you stop and think about your action. So putting the OK in front of it makes every time, you can't say OK without kind of taking a breath and pausing a little bit. So that's deliberately why they did that, was to get people to go, OK, Google, this is what I want you to do.
They have been quite open, though, that they want feedback on it and they are open to changing it. You know, to say, OK, Google, it just does feel pretty unnatural. And also, it does still set off some of the other Google devices. So if you've got like a Pixel Google smartphone, they're all pinging at the same time. So that would kind of suggest that if they have done research, it's been in a very laboratory, ideal environment rather than in the real world in people's homes.
And it sort of breaks an old marketing rule in that you didn't really want your brand to become the generic. So, I mean, Hoover was always the example. In the end, so Hoover became so generic that people hoovered their carpet even if they weren't using a Hoover. Or Kleenex is the other one. So people would buy Kleenex tissues even if it wasn't Kleenex. So it is interesting. I suppose it's because they just dominate so much.
They're kind of there already, right?
They're there already. But then there's an interesting opportunity because you can then you can wedge your brand in there. So you could say, I Google with Bing, which then all of a sudden turns Google into, it's no longer a brand name, it's the notion of search. So there's a chink in that as an idea. Nonetheless, they're so powerful that won't happen.
OK, Russell. That's what I would have gone with. OK, Russell. Google Home doesn't pretend to have a personality. Amazon's Alexa, like Apple's Siri, uses a female voice and a human name. Derry, which approach is smarter, do you think?
A lot of research goes into this stuff. Google has deliberately left the personality for us to create. It's just human nature that if we want to have a conversation, we want to have it with a person, not an object. So we name our cars, we name our boats, we give all sorts of strange things in our world's names to make them feel more human to us when we're having that conversation. So that's Google's approach, is to let their customers kind of imagine what that person might be like.
I think Google's sort of on the path to creating a personality. So if we go back 10 years ago, it was very much the white screen and the window, and they were just deeply functional. But now, through the use of design, even through the use of their advertising, they are trying to put a personality into their brand. Even the colours with the bouncing balls, all these things are designed to make us feel closer to the search engine that is Google.
So they're then hoping that attaches to OK Google.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then with Alexa, I mean, that's very deliberate, the female voice. When you look at the people that have already adopted this technology, they're predominantly younger, male, and pretty affluent. So having that kind of lovely human voice to wake up to in the morning is obviously something that's somewhat appealing. And they've done...
It's true, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the TomTom, I've driven around. I quite like this TomTom. Like a nice voice. It's nice to have a girl that speaks to you.
I mean, honestly, normally men don't like it when women give them the directions in the car.
But to actually have one of them actually talk to you.
But with Alexa specifically, they're hoping, and it is true that the more you use these devices, the greater the bond kind of, the more you think it's a real person, and it ends up becoming quite an emotional bond. And they did a bit of research around those that have already adopted this technology already, and over 25% of their current users already claim to have had a sexual fantasy about their voice assistant, Alexa. So, they're really starting to attach this kind of emotional personality.
But I mean, obviously, if you're at home, like as we've discussed, you're home alone.
Don't go any further, Ross. Just leave it. Just leave it.
That wasn't in the research.
Yeah, just leave it.
OK, Alexa.
Box of Kleenex arrives at the door.
By the way, that is not OK, Russell.
The use of the female voice is quite interesting because some would say gender stereotypes have been coded into these assistants. But the one thing we do know is both male and females prefer listening to female voices. And we know that we are more accepting of being given orders from a female voice, both male and female, than we are of a male, except in Germany. Because when GPS has been where they've been doing the most, GPS in cars is when they're doing the most testing, really, of female voices. And I remember when they had to recall Series 5 voice because the German men had said they did not like being ordered around by women. So they changed that voice to a male voice. So every other country in the world's happy with women, except for the Germans. They don't love it.
I mean, to be honest, I'm just not going to get involved in that answer because it involved women versus men, Germans and following orders. It's just... I just feel like it's a lot of danger areas, to be honest.
It's where I thought originally the Alexa ad, I thought where they were going to take it was... because they had kind of two career women featured at the start, and I thought it was going to be... they were going to position Alexa as the sort of solution to the wife drought. Like, we all need a wife now. Right? So I thought they were going to go into it being the kind of acceptable voice of polygamy, and I think that might have been a more sort of interesting place to take it.
I agree.
Well, you've certainly given Russell another idea for post-show.
Oh, boy.
Google remembers your history, by the way. Like all ads, the devil is in the details. Sequences shortened and simulated. Essentially, if you're using the NBN, turn the lights off yourself. There's also this, compatible lights required. All the excitement of not walking 2 metres to the light switch is going to cost you. Ali, do we really love convenience that much?
Yes, we absolutely do. So in the US, where, as Russ said, the voice-enabled devices are much bigger, about 36 million people per month are using them. So that's obviously a lot, and it's growing all the time. So a lot of those people at the moment are a bit younger, so the sort of 25 to 35 age bracket, but again, it's going to infiltrate all of our lives. I think what Google Home is doing here that's interesting, though, is that they do have the first mover advantage here in Australia. Amazon Echo isn't here quite yet. So what they're doing with this ad is they're trying to show that they are useful for any home. If you're lucky enough to have a home, they will fit in it. But they're also trying to embed themselves with a bit of Australianness. Like, they've got that kookaburra moment, you know, how Australian that is. But I think it's also, in an ad devoid of laughs, they've had to actually force one in from a bird. It's probably the other reason for that. But I think they really do have to go with, they are here first. Amazon Echo is already massive. They've got to make up ground.
I'm not certain it's convenience. I think it's the higher order of efficiency. That's what they're pushing in America. You know, and efficiency is kind of the grease of the capitalist system, always better, trying to improve, you know, push yourself forward, better use of resources, better use of time, better. And these devices sort of fit in to help make that happen. I'm not certain it's as simple as convenience for a lot of people.
Amazon has recently released Echo Plus, an updated Alexa.
With Echo Plus, you can ask Alexa to do simple things.
Alexa, ask Fitbit how many steps I've taken.
You have taken about 13,006 steps.
Alexa, turn on the fan.
Okay.
Pretty lazy for someone really into exercise. And just last week, it announced Amazon Key, a service that doesn't just put a device in your house, it lets strangers through your door.
You already know Amazon is the easiest way to get what you need. Like gifts for people whose birthday you've forgotten. With the Amazon Key app, you can also grant access to the people you trust. Let's say you need to remotely manage guest access to the front door of your home. Maybe to let in your dog walker, a friend, or maybe to let in a team of home cleaning ninjas. With Amazon Key, you can get your packages delivered just inside your door. You can track your delivery with real-time notifications, watch the delivery happening live, or review a video of the delivery after it's complete. Maybe rain is in the forecast. Or maybe you just need your mom's gift moments before she walks through the door. You know, because you're awesome.
Amazon delivered her package, then they stole her couch. This is like a home invasion that you've paid for. Todd, will people really let strangers into their house?
Crazily, yes. Not that many, but yes, they will. This is a really good example, again, of another land grab by Amazon's down in the purchasing end of the process. So they're trying to own the intersection between e-commerce and home automation. And they know one of the pain points is, and there's so many packages being delivered. Like in America, when people are brushing their teeth and they run out, they literally will order toothpaste to be delivered to their house within an hour. It's not like, you know, books and stuff coming. Like, they're ordering toothpicks, they're ordering whatever to come. And one of the big bugbears is unable to deliver it because no one's home. So this is tapping into that pain point. But of course, it just raises, I mean, there's privacy issues, then there's security issues. And, you know, what happens if the driver is part of a crime syndicate? And, you know, so there's plenty of issues. But you'd be surprised, still, I think it's 58%, roughly, half of Americans say they're willing to give it a go.
Yeah, so we are in this world, though, where, you know, because cameras are everywhere, because we all get tracked, because the driver that might do the wrong thing, we know exactly where they are. But then there's something slightly off about that as well, you know, that you can't get away with it. So it's...
Well, and it's not just that, it's their camera you're putting into your house.
Yeah.
And their camera gets activated when someone scans a barcode. So you're not controlling.
Yes.
I know, right?
That.
So
that's where you go,
Yeah. There will be a point at which we collectively say, is this enough? Yeah, there has to be, that discussion actually has to happen. Yeah, so I don't know when that point is, because, you know, the digital, you know, it's a runaway train, obviously, but there has to be a point where the discussion is had.
I don't want to alarm you, Russell, but I believe we're being filmed and recorded right now.
Yeah, I think probably the future applications for this are quite interesting, though. Like, for me, it would be if they can actually build on it and do returns instead of just deliveries, because that's actually the really hard part of online shopping, is getting the stuff back that doesn't fit. So that's kind of an interesting future applications of it.
As we speak to these devices, they record us. In the US, Alexa has already been a witness in a murder trial. Dun dun. Amazon says you can delete the voice recordings, but the device won't work as well if you do. Derry, are most of us beyond caring about privacy now?
I don't think we quite are. This is the core of the issue. This is, I guess, you know, what we're talking about here. And look, perhaps it's generational, and perhaps the younger generation are rolling into this and not as concerned or thinking about their privacy. But we're talking about people's homes. Like, you know, it's kind of their sanctuary. There's an expectation when you get home at night you can shut the door and the world isn't watching. But inviting this kind of technology in, you are kind of inviting that into your world, and people have to feel comfortable about that.
I do think a lot of it is generational. I think the older generation, we believe that everything is private until we make it public. The younger generation believe everything is public until they consciously make it private. And I think our definition of privacy, particularly in the marketing world, but our definition of privacy has changed. It's no longer about anonymity. It's about some level of control.
There is no such thing as privacy, and there's no such thing as a secret.
I think it raises quite... I think it raises quite an interesting question, though, for the future of insurance. Like, I wonder about the effect that Key has on your home insurance, but then in 5 years' time, are we going to be worried about home and contents insurance, or are we going to be worried about data insurance?
But what about your health insurance? If your refrigerator is saying that you constantly order pizza all the time, then your life insurance is going to go, I don't think you're a good candidate for our life insurance, because they're going to have that data. They're going to know you're shopping, because you pretty much will buy everything on Amazon.
Yeah, so but your weed dealer is going to know you're a good customer for them. Amazon's Alexa is coming to Australia soon, and in an exciting Gruen exclusive, we've actually got an advanced copy of the new local ad. Get up, get up, get up.
Alexa, alarm on.
Just get out of bed.
Alexa, what's on the calendar today?
You're in an ad for some invasive new technology.
Alexa, call me an Uber.
Yeah, good choice. Head for the hills.
Alexa, what's the weather like today?
I don't know. Just look out the window, you lazy shit.
Alexa, pair my Bluetooth speaker.
Pair it with what? A glass of red? A cheese? Tell me.
Alexa, it's time to reorder some paper towels.
We ordered paper towel a week ago.
And Alexa, play my garage music.
Okay, I'll play your music as long as you don't start up that angle grinder again.
Alexa, listen jazz.
Jazz? Who do you think you're impressing, dickhead?
Alexa, who's this?
It's me, Alexa, and I'm calling you a dickhead.
Alexa, turn that up.
Dickhead.
Alexa, change the bedroom temperature to 65 degrees.
Sure.
Alexa, lights off.
Turn off the lights yourself.
Alexa, good night.
Good night. Sleep tight. I'll just be here watching you sleep. Now that is creepy. And now, the pitch, where our agencies put the sell in unsellable. From 1974 to 1989, Australian university education was free. And New Zealand has announced it will be scrapping uni fees entirely. So we asked our agencies to do the educating and convince our government to make university free again. Can they do it? Please welcome from the Goat Farm in New Zealand, Vaughan Davis, and from Zoo Group, Alex Waddellton. Vaughan, what course did you take?
So we thought about what it means when you can't afford to go to university, when you really should, and had a look at the pointy end of that.
Let's have a look. Good job. Makes sense. Alex, what was your contribution?
So we thought what the future would hold for our kids, both with and without free university.
Let's have a look.
When I grow up, I want to owe the government $100,000.
When I grow up, I want to have no choice but to live with my parents till I'm 32.
When I grow up, I want to spend the first 15 years of my career paying back my degree. When I grow up, I want to end poverty.
When I grow up, I want to cure cancer.
When I grow up, I want to fix climate change.
Great job. Great job. Well, Russell, I think they both make a very compelling case, but what do you think? Which one?
I love the simplicity of Vaughan's, but the reality of Alex's I thought was really powerful. So number 2.
Derry?
I can't have my kids live with me for that long, so number 2.
Ellie?
Yeah, I'm going to go with number 2 too. The performances from the kids were amazing.
Todd, if your vote counts for 3, this could still be a tie.
I like them both. Education should definitely be free. I'm going for number 2.
Oh, OK. Well, there you go. Congratulations to you both. But there you go. Look at that. You're the winner. That was very fantastic. The Golden Gay Time has been an Aussie classic since it launched in 1959. This year alone, Gay Time has released the Pina Colada Gay Time, the Cappuccino Buzz Gay Time, the Gay Time Unicorn, and the Gay Time Choc Mint McMint Face. Forget the brain drain. We could have cured cancer if all the best inventors weren't busy coming up with new gay times. The Gay Time is manufactured by Streets, which you might have noticed is in the middle of a noisy industrial dispute and boycott campaign. But that didn't stop them from launching the brand new Gay Time Sanger on Facebook Live last week.
A golden gay time that's been in development for over 12 years. The product of a collaboration between a team of 35 of the world's top ice cream designers, 178 leading chocolatologists, 371 snackographers, nearly 1,100 project managers, and me. On behalf of the entire Gay Time team, I'm proud to introduce the most advanced ice cream snack the world has ever seen. The new Golden Gay Time Sanger.
OK, first, let's be honest, that's a Maxi Bond dipped in crumbs. The problem with Facebook Live is you can see the audience reacting, and it wasn't long before the screen was filled with angry face emojis.
The new Golden Gay Time Sanger.
We were recording that video, so when Streets decided to delete it, my face looked more like this. There were also angry comments, such as pay your workers and more like stolen pay time. Not the best pun. Derry, Streets knew they were in the middle of a boycott. Why do this?
I don't know. Look, they're in a tricky situation. They have got the biggest sales period coming up. You know, it's summer, it's ice cream, they need to be out there. And they would have had this launch ready to go a long time before they realised they were in the middle of a boycott. So there is an argument to say, business as usual, let's just keep going, let's separate the consumer kind of ice cream experience, whatever's going on back here at a corporate level. But they chose Facebook Live. And that's the bit that's hard to understand. It's a social platform, which means they're encouraging engagement. So going into something like that, knowing they're in the middle of a boycott, you would think they'd go in with a plan so that when they start getting the kind of responses that they would be expecting to get, because they're actually inviting it by opening up the platform, that they'd have some kind of response for that. I mean, it's an opportunity to get on the front foot. They could have actually turned it and turned it into a positive and come out at the back as the heroes, but they deleted it instead.
Well, we've still got it.
So I think they would have been very surprised at the reaction. Yeah, because they are having a gay old time with this product. They're doing lots of innovation. They're having fun with the packaging, having fun with the flavours, having fun with the names, and they're on a roll. And the consumer's coming along with them, and then they've got their new thing. We're going to do Facebook Live, right? Oh, we're so cool and innovative. They would have been so energised, and I think rightfully so, yeah, so energised by all the effort that they're putting in, that they actually would have been completely blindsided by what then occurred as a result of being on Facebook Live.
The Aussie Streets factory is located in Minto, New South Wales. Sounds delicious. Just off Magnum Place, where sadly all is not Friendship Way. There's another factory in a Magnum ad on TV at the moment, and it's looking pretty empty.
You take my breath away.
Carefully made to be broken. New from Magnum.
Made to be broken, like enterprise agreements or picket lines. Russell, how do you newsproof your slogans?
Well, in fact, you want to do the opposite. When you write a slogan, you want it to be on the news. This is part of the strategy these days in advertising and in marketing. You are looking to squat on the news, you know, by providing something that you then get in return for free. You get exposure because you write a line that gets people talking about it. So no, you're not trying to newsproof, you're trying to do the opposite.
I don't know, there's something about them using the sound that I thought was interesting in this, because they're building it off of the actual ice cream itself, where it crunches and it breaks, and then to have that as part of a new packaging design, I thought was clever, because we don't often think about eating with our ears, or our ears being involved, sound being involved in that, and I thought that was quite clever.
Yeah, there's some serious production values as well. I mean, that commercial, that's an expensive commercial.
I mean, ice cream is such a sensory experience. Like, I love how they've involved a different sense than just here's some words. You know, it is all about the drips on your fingers and the lovely taste in your mouth, and then involving the sound as well. I think it's great.
It's bad luck when your dispute... By the way, I'm glad you all found that sound sexy, because that's the noise my hips make when I walk.
Oh, you've just ruined every Magnum I'm going to have from here on in.
It's bad luck when your dispute is about factory workers and your ad shows a factory with no workers. Not even an Oompa Loompa. Ali, what happens when you find yourself in that situation? Do you pull the ad or do you double down?
I think you just have a moment of blind panic, to be honest, first. But I think this is actually as hard to crack as the top of that Magnum, because if I pull it, like if I'm Streets Unilever and I pull that ad, I'm admitting that there's a problem. And it's also a very bad position to then re-enter negotiations with the union. But if I leave it on air, I look really insensitive. I look like I'm just feeding Magnums to my corporate greed. And actually, I think there's quite a few of the marketing challenges of today are kind of revealed in this question, because there are so many shades of corporate grey here. Right, so this is a new product launch. I've made a massively costly TV ad. Like, just to say pull it, that sounds like the easy thing to do, but there is so much time, cost, effort wrapped up in that it's very, very difficult to make that decision. I think also as well, with this being a new product launch, you know, Colesworths, they demand a lot from a new product. You've had to fight for that freezer space. You've probably had to pay for it. So there's quite a few kind of different things wrapped up here. As Streets, I want to be kind of fueling demand, which will support the factory, which will support the workers.
The union's boycott campaign is called Streets Free Summer. Summer is 3 months long, or once climate change takes hold, all year round. Dairy, will people get bored of a 3-month protest?
I think that's actually their greatest challenge. So, you know, we're assuming that this boycott is going to keep on going all the way through summer, and when I go, I hear it now, it's Tuesday, and I am absolutely outraged that these poor workers are potentially losing some of their salary. So that's it. I am not going to buy Streets ice creams anymore this summer. Then Wednesday hits and there's a mass shooting somewhere in the States, and then Thursday something else terrible happens, and by the time I get to the weekend and I go off to the beach, I've totally forgotten about the poor workers that aren't getting paid, and I want an ice cream, and I'll probably just go ahead and buy a Magnum. And I think that's one of the greatest issues, is how long they can sustain their noise and how they go about doing that, so people have it constantly in their minds every time. It's an impulse purchase. These are not big purchases, and they're not well planned. I don't get up in the morning and say, hey, I'm going to get an ice cream today. So they have to find a way to get in front of that if they want to sustain the momentum.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably one of the biggest impulse purchases in the world. Nearly 1 billion of them are sold, a year, just on impulse. And impulse is not about rational thought. So you're not weighing up the 140 workers versus the taste of that. You basically get triggered, mostly through outdoor advertising. You might notice that the majority of ice cream advertising is in outdoor, because when you see the product shot, it triggers that want in you immediately. The seeing really does it. So then you see it, and then you're hot, you're wherever you are, and you go buy the product. I think it will have little to no effect on purchasing habits, but believing that you're going to turn a contract negotiation, a union contract negotiation, into a national boycott movement is naive. But it's not naive to pressure the company.
No matter where Street's ice creams are made, it seems like the advertising will always come from the conveyor belt. That Magnum ad is also in German.
Jetzt neu, Magnum im Becher.
We will crack you. There's a Czech version.
Pečlivě stvořeno ke křupnutí. Novinka od Magnum.
We will crack you too. And a Spanish one too.
Cuidadosamente creadas para romperse. Nuevas tarrinas Magnum.
We will crack you. I can't do accents. And I finally understand why in this Streets ad the dialogue is weirdly out of sync with the actors' mouths.
He's asleep.
I've got the gelateria.
Is that ice cream?
No, it's a blue ribbon gelateria.
It's because the original is American.
He's asleep.
I've got the gelato.
Is that ice cream?
No, it's Breyer's Gelato Indulgences.
Bloody foreign ice cream ads coming over here and taking all our ice cream ad jobs. That's just about all for tonight. Please thank our panel, Russell, Derry, Ali and Todd. We'll leave you with another ad you couldn't make in 2017. And if you did, Streets might have another boycott on its hands. Believe it or not, this grainy old Magnum ad is only from 2001. But everything about it belongs much further in the past. It achieves what should be impossible for a campaign about ice cream. It leaves a truly bad taste in your mouth. There's also a bunch of school children, and it's the only class you'll see in the entire ad. We'll catch you next week.
Am I wrong to hunger?
Come along, class.
New Magnum cone from Streets. The adults only cone.